Hey there, how you doing? Welcome. Today, I'm going to talk about why your ethics and your etiquette is a strategy. And it's an interesting thing because this obviously has nothing to do with X's and O's, but it partly has to do with the mental game of tennis. So, this video is really targeted at newish players who maybe haven't decided, how are you going to play this game? Why are you playing this game? And you want to be empowered. You want to do it right. And so, if you've been in the game for a while, then you probably already know some things that I'm talking about. Maybe if you're fairly new and you've been having some sticky issues, maybe this will help you as well. But you longtime veteran players might not really be helped by this so much. So, if you're using this as a coach and you want to direct it towards newish players that you're training, then listen in because I think there's some really good stuff here. So, the first thing is that you deciding how you want to play the game ethically and with the right amount of etiquette gives you a sense that you deserve to win, right? Um, recently, I'm reading a biography of Thomas Paine, and he was one of the most important literary figures and shapers of philosophy in the late 18th century, which he contributed heavily to the American and the French revolutions. So, one of the thoughts that was part of his whole genre was this is that you can't always ensure success, but you can deserve it. So part of the reason why you want to be a person who plays fair is because then you know that when you've won, you deserve to win. But if you haven't made your mind up about that and you're playing somebody and they're cheating you and you cheat them back, or you're making a few bad calls there, you're always going to have this little nagging suspicion about whether you really deserve to win or not. So just make up your mind right now that you're going to play ethically. You're going to call, you know every ball that you're uncertain of, you're going to call it good, right? And you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the opponent, and then in that way, then you're also going to be contributing to making the game a better place, right? So when there's tennis has for a long time been known as a sport with good sportsmanship. Uh, in junior tennis right now, there seems to be a pretty heavy epidemic of bad sportsmanship, bad calls. And this is something that is forcing some kids out of the game. I mean, I wouldn't say forcing them. They're choosing not to play tennis because they don't want to go through that ugly experience of being cheated, right? So part of the way that you establish the good, you reduce cheating is by not cheating yourself. So that's a really important thing. And then now, as far as the ethics concerned, also determine that you're going to help protect the integrity of the game yourself. So don't allow someone to cheat you unchecked. So I have a little thing that I teach my new players. All right, the first time you see a suspect call, you just kind of give them this look. You kind of look at them, and then you look at the line, and then you look at them. So you've given them like a non-verbal of I don't agree with that. And a funny thing happens. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, did you think that was good?" And then you go, "Yeah." And then they go, "Oh, okay, your point." And then what did you just learn? You just learned that they're actually honest and reasonable and you can trust them. Maybe they didn't know they made a mistake. Vision's a tricky thing, right? So, number two, if you see a second bad call, that's when you use their name. You say, "Hey, Chris, are you sure?" Right? Because "are you sure" doesn't have the same weight as using their name, because part of what empowers people to act poorly is anonymity. So when you use their name, then Chris goes, "Oh, yeah, he knows who I am." Right? Um, and then that's basically, you translated, that means, okay, I think you blew that call, or maybe you're cheating me, or whatever, right? And then nearly 100% of the time they're going to say, yeah, I'm sure, fine, whatever. But then the third one, then you've got a problem. So if there's a third call, then you have to decide that you're going to go get a lines person, right? Or you might talk to the player and say, "Hey, can if it's not an official tournament, maybe it's like a flex league match or something, you know, you can say, "Hey, that's like the third time I've seen a call that was suspect. So, um, you know, is everything okay?" Right? Because I think I'm seeing the ball differently than you. But you don't want to get into that retaliatory call thing, because then you stoop to their level. Now, keep in mind this: vision's a tricky thing, and people, by virtue of the fact that the anxiety of the match, gets to them, they might not be seeing as well as you. So, take it with a grain of salt. On the other hand, if you see that on every time it's break point and the ball's close, they're calling it out, then if it smells like it, then that's what it must be. So, you've got to, you can kind of get a sense of these things about whether somebody's making honest mistakes, or whether they're outright trying to steal the match from you. So that's the first part. I mean, play the game ethically, determine that you're going to play fair, and that you're going to have the wherewithal to expect those around you to play fair and be reasonable and all that fun stuff. And if you need to, at a tournament, get a lines person. There's no harm in it. It only sends the message that you're not going to tolerate being cheated. All right, now the next thing is court etiquette, because unfortunately, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is many, many, many more people are playing tennis, and that's great, and we want them to stay. But with so many new people coming out to play, then we haven't really had a chance to teach them, court etiquette. So, make sure that before you cross a court, right, that those people are in between games or on a changeover. Or if the ball has gotten way away and they really have to go, then you can ask them, can we cross, and all that. So read the signals that people give you. Right now, when a ball comes on your court, it's your responsibility to get it to the people who hit it on your court. And when a ball goes on their court, it's their responsibility to get it to you. When their point is over, right? When your point is over, with some exceptions. All right. So, you know, if you're in the middle of a point, the ball went behind you and nobody was disturbed, keep playing. It's fine. Right. Finish your point. You don't have to stop your point. But then as soon as your point's over, look around, go get that ball, and then check to see if they're ready. Right. You have to look to see, who, and find out which player wants it, because, so pay close attention to what's going on and who wants it. Uh, there are some rare exceptions where it's okay to run onto somebody's court, because like they're over there all the way at the net and it's in the corner closest to you, so they're on a changeover. So yeah, just go run and get your ball really quick. So the number one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to disturb them while they're in the middle of a point, and that includes after the first serve has been struck or when they're about to hit a first serve. You also don't want to disturb them in the middle of a point. Did I just say that? I think I did. And you also ought not to feel like you're going to be disturbed in the middle of your point. Now, there is one thing to be careful of, and that is when a ball rolls across your court and is either or a distraction or dangerous. Either of those two things. If it's a visual distraction or it's dangerous, then you need to call a let immediately. And if it happens on the other side and you see a ball rolling towards your opponent that they do not see, then you have to consider their safety. in that regard. So I've seen situations where a player was about to step backwards onto a ball and the other team didn't know or care that they should stop the point. It was a very strange situation. So, consider the safety of everybody involved. That's also really important. Now, one thing that you should do, go get a friend at court. Friend at court is the nickname of the USTA official rules of tennis. So you want that. You want to have that rule book. And if you can get the one that has the code in it, it's called the code, and read through that because it has a lot of really good detailed information. One thing that's, I think, very helpful is when you give the ball to other courts or to your opponent, you want it to get there in one bounce and you want to get it right to them. So you'll probably see in a tournament somewhere somebody who just carelessly, hits the ball over on their side, and they'll actually sometimes even purposely hit the ball into the corner away from the person to make them walk over there. That's really cheap, right? That's gamesmanship. And you'll see people who like wear yellow socks to distract their opponent or hang a towel at eye level to make a distraction. So, there are all sorts of little things that you should or should not do. All right. Um, another thing to keep in mind is as soon as somebody calls out, then that point is over and there will be a winner or a loser of the point. So if the person called out in error, then they lose the point. Okay. There are no do-overs, right? The only time you play something over is when there's a let, right? Or a ball has come across the court. There's been a major disturbance, that causes a let. That's the only time you play something over. It's not because somebody had doubt about whether the ball was in or out. So anyway, these things can really help you get along, and in the getting along and knowing what you're doing and playing a peaceful match with great sportsmanship, that that will empower you. That can be part of, being able to play well, you know. But you're if you're doing things that have poor etiquette and you're creating bad feelings and people don't really want to play you, then there's this poisoning of the atmosphere that's going to make it no fun for you and them, and I think that will harm your ability to play well. So basically, the bottom line here is that you want to learn to play the match as seamlessly as possible with the best level of integrity to reduce the amount of problems that would happen, and then you're going to be able to move forward and be a more popular person to play. And I'll end with this. I know a lot of people are playing flex leagues of under various brands. So there are, the official governing body has flex leagues, and then there are these private companies that have flex leagues and all that. So there's there are quite a few of them out there. So let's say you're going to meet, 6 different opponents. So I guarantee you this. One of those people is probably going to be a new tennis friend for you. You're going to get along great and have a good match, and you're gonna exchange numbers so you can get together another time and go practice. And then you're probably going to meet 2 or 3 or 4 people who you get along with fine. They're civil. You can probably practice with them. And then you're probably going to have 1 or 2 really good stories from somebody who's a little bit out there. You might meet somebody who's kind of wackadoodle, right? So if that happens, be as gracious as you can, right? And then just if they call you to want to play on a Saturday, maybe you have to wash your hamster that day. Who knows? Well, you have to bake some cookies for a wedding shower or something. I don't know. You make something up, but or maybe you're the solution. Maybe you can help them with their mental health and straighten them out. But that's up to you. All right. Thanks for watching. and a little up. So remember, use your social digital capital, right? Press. So press like and subscribe, and you can share these around, and that's fun that way. Check out my blog at brainsports.coach. Yes, that's the whole URL, brainsports.coach. Thank you to Ryan Hanrahan, the tennis marketer, and Brendan Ellison, who have been very savvy at helping me create my website. Brendan has done most of the work. And finally, yeah, subscribe to the blog while you're there. Check out my YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, right? And then, if you wanted to buy me a cup of coffee, then you can Venmo me at Bill Patton 720. And then, down below the descriptions of these things, if you're interested in my books, then they're there too. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for loving the game that we all love together. And have a great Sunday.